Victoria, and this is my video presentation for British literature. So I'm here in the Baylor Science Building, or the BSB, and I want to talk about how British literature has impacted me after taking this class. So this past couple weeks, we've learned about different literature from Anglo-Saxon to the Victorian age, from Beowulf to T.S. Eliot and Alfred Tennyson. So over these past couple weeks, we've analyzed these different types of literature and written our thoughts and what we believe the author's trying to tell us, as well as trying to interpret these different writings. In addition, we also learned about the history of literature through these time periods and how different thoughts, philosophical thoughts and scientific revolutions, or how culture has impacted society and literature. So I found this class to have impacted my life through showing me how to analyze these types of literature, as well as applying this historical background to this literature and my life. So in previous English classes, I've read literature and analyzed it, but I never really learned historical background of what it was going on during that time, or how different thought, like how possibly nihilism could have affected romantic poems and thought. So this analyzing in history combined, it really changed the way I looked at literature. So through analyzing this literature, I've learned that I can apply it to my life. So I'm not a humanities major, I'm an environmental science major, and I'm looking to do research in the future. So one might think that it's hard to incorporate British literature into science, but it's really not that hard. There's a lot of literature in science. It's just a different kind of literature. It's research papers and publications that is in scientific lingo, but we use the same kind of tools to analyze scientific literature as we do British and world literature. So before we further talk about how literature has impacted my life in the scientific realm, we're gonna go visit my lab and talk in there. Come on, let's go. All right, we're here in the lab. So continuing our talk on literature and science, I find reading literature, especially British literature, world literature, and American literature, I find it very, very useful to learning how to read and analyze research papers, so we can use those papers to work on our project. And that's very useful in the scientific world, because you need research papers in order to further your research. So also, in addition to analyzing papers, the history we learned and how it ties into literature also helps us learn about how different thought processes have evolved in the scientific world through history, and how we come to now, and how we can use these previous knowledges in order to further the work we're doing. So all in all, literature in general has impacted my life through showing me how to analyze and how to work in different historical aspects of these writings into my personal life of science, and how I can use that in my work in the lab and in reading scientific papers for any class or to work on my projects. And yeah, I think that's incredible how we can incorporate, humanities into science, because everyone thinks that science is standalone. You can't English has nothing to do with science. But no, it really does, because you can take these basic skills learned in English and incorporate it into our scientific world. And that's awesome. So yeah, that's my video. And yeah, I had a great time in this class, and thank you for watching. Bye. So Justin, do you think literature affects science in any way?
Only if it's scientific literature.
Okay. What does literature have to do with science, and do they intertwine in some way?
Yes, without literature, there is no science, because science exists within the context of communicating it to people or to other groups. It's true. If you perform an experiment and you can't communicate it because you didn't write it down or you didn't share it, and other people can't learn from it and reproduce it, then it's not science.
Also, in the wider context of culture, literature and the humanities are part of what sustains the social structures which allow science to thrive.
What he said.
Thanks.